Welcome to The Chatter, your end of the week ear candy for what to eat, drink, see, and do in Richmond, Virginia, right damn now.
The Richmond Experience is independently owned and created by locals, us, for locals, you. From recent openings and the latest trends to time-tested traditions and hidden gems, we're here to help you experience the very best that RVA has to offer.
Hi, I'm Paige, RVAX social media manager. I'm the face you see in front of the scenes on Instagram and TikTok, taking you to all the latest and greatest hotspots around town.
And I'm Kelsey, RVAX managing editor, working behind the scenes on your Wednesday and Thursday newsletters, the Weekly Insider and the Weekender, and City Guides.
Kelsey, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too, Paige. It's not just you and I here. We have our very first special guest. Paige, do you want to introduce her or should I?
You go for it, Kelsey. You're so excited.
I'm
Number
so
one
excited.
fan.
I'm so excited. We are having our first special guest. Miss Susi Vidal is here with us today. Hi, Susi.
Hi, guys. Hi, listeners. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Thank you for joining us. We were talking before we officially hit record, but just to catch our listeners up, Susi has a very large following. She just recently moved to Richmond. We got a note about that from a fan of yours, Susi. We were like, Susi, who is this Susi? Looked into you. We've been following you for weeks and months now. You posted on your stories that you missed podcasting because you had been into that in recent days or months or years. And we were like, this is our moment. We're asking Susi, come talk to us, Susi. And now here you are.
And here I am. And I was so excited. They sent me a DM. I was like, yes, we are making this happen.
Yeah, we were like, kind of like shook. We did not think. I told Paige to the side, I'm sending this woman a DM and I'm thinking like, she's not going to read this for days, but you were very receptive. I appreciate it. I'm still can't believe it. Thank you so much, Susi.
Of course, I'm such a down person. I'm like, if someone asks me to do something, I'm down for everything. So I'm so glad.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's sort of, I feel like how Paige and I try to carry the whole like vibe at the Richmond Experience, where it's like, let's try all these different things, see how it goes. If it doesn't go well, fine. If it does, fantastic. Let's move forward then. Well, Susi, I feel like from the top, to get us up to speed on you and our listeners up to speed on you, I was just thinking we could talk through what brought you to Richmond, your background in general, everything about you, just so that everybody has caught up before we get into like the deep dive of the meat of our episode.
Okay. Yes. So quick summary. I grew up in Arizona and I graduated from nursing school there. I worked as a nurse for about a year and a half. And during that time, I met my current partner. And he plays soccer professionally. So he moved to Detroit. We did long distance. Then I decided to move out to Detroit with him. And then in March, or maybe more like February, he signed with the Richmond Kickers.
Woo, we're big fans.
Yeah. Oh,
Huge
you guys love
fans.
Kickers?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He's goalie, Ryan Shello. Number 13, yeah.
I didn't realize he was the goalie. Yeah, the Richmond Kickers are one of our Richmond 50 partners. So we go to a few games a year.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, yeah. Last week? They had a great game. He saved 2 PKs to win. It was awesome.
I gotta say, in preparation for this, my husband was sending me some like things to get me acquainted with more content and stuff. He was like, "This is Susie's boyfriend. Excuse me, Susie's partner." He was like, "You gotta see this." Like, did you call it a PK? I know nothing about soccer. My husband loves it, and he just knew it was a good move.
Right. Yeah, it was a great move. Yeah, it is called a PK, but it was just crazy. It was such a good game. So yeah, we moved out to Richmond. I've been here since March and I've been loving it. Like in Detroit, I wasn't really getting out and about as much as I wanted to. So when I moved to Richmond, I was like, okay, I need to like be more involved in the community, go do certain things. And it's made it really enjoyable. I've like grown to love it. Yeah.
Good. That's wonderful. And did you say too, so how long have you officially like been in Richmond at this point?
I think we like officially moved the middle of March, like of this year. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was thinking when we sort of had gotten wind, because one of our, somebody in our audience had reached out to us and been like, hey, like there is this person, Susi Vidal, she's got a super awesome setup of her in her own right. I feel like you guys could like, you could get well acquainted. And we were like, oh, okay, let's look into this. I thought that was around springtime, but this whole year is kind of a blur at this point.
I know. Yeah, it is kind of a blur. But yeah, it's been so fun.
Okay, well, fantastic. That's so good. And I do feel like getting out and about, I feel like is especially like the best way. That's kind of how I felt like when I moved to Richmond, was sort of just like hit the ground running. Like you got to get out there and like try to like meet some people, try to get into what everybody else is getting into. So you sort of understand what the vibe is of the city. So it sounds like you're right on track with that too.
Yeah. Are you guys from Richmond? Like born and raised?
Neither one of us are. I'm from the like Northern Virginia area-ish. I'm from like Stafford, which I think technically Northern Virginians are like, that's not Northern Virginia. It's
Yeah.
like near Fredericksburg, but for the purposes of like convenience of explaining it, I'm from Northern Virginia. My husband and I moved out to California for a couple of years before we like settled down and started having kids.
Cool.
And when we decided to move back to be closer to family and where we grew up, we decided, we haven't ever like lived in Richmond before. We had visited, sure, and it was nearby to where we grew up. We didn't know much about it. We thought it would be a good place to like set down some roots, and here we are. It's a fantastic place.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Paige, you've been here like a decade or more.
I moved here in 2012. I was originally a teacher, and then I got into the wine world here. So that led me to content creation, and then I became the social media manager a few years ago. So
What did I say?
I feel like I've been here my whole life. I've been here my whole adult life.
Maybe
Right.
that's like where I'm crossing wires, Paige. I don't know. Like when you and I have talked before, I'm like, yeah, Paige has been here for 100 years. You're like,
Yeah.
it's 2012.
Centuries.
Yeah.
Your soul is from here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel
She's
like
in the
I
body
feel
of
like a
Richmond.
Richmonder at
Yeah,
this point.
right, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh my
Well,
gosh, it's so funny. But yeah,
fantastic.
but moving here's been great. It's so hard to move and like feel, I don't know, moving to a new place is kind of difficult sometimes, but Richmond is very welcoming. I
Yeah.
like feel like home, and I've only been here for 8 months, so it's great.
Okay, good. That's fantastic to hear.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's my whole point of view of it as I have grown to get to know it more in the last couple of years is it is very welcoming. People are very like proud to be Richmonders. So they're very happy for people to come here, but then they're also like, you need to be like for real though. For real. This is Richmond. That's kind of been that's how I picked up, I feel like.
Which I totally understand though, because I'm from Tucson, Arizona. We are very similar where we're very welcoming, but we're proud to be Tucsonians. We're like, we call each other like little rats, like dirty tea. We have our little.
You got your whole language.
Yeah. So when people come, we're like really excited, but we're like, okay, you're not really a local. You kind of have to like gain the respect of the locals a little bit. You got to respect the city. You got to get involved. So
Right.
I get it. Yeah, I understand.
There's like a little element of like side eye at the same time of like, we're glad you're here.
But also,
Nice to see you. Yeah. It's like, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're getting acquainted well. That's fantastic though.
Yeah, definitely.
The only other thing up top here that I was wondering about before we got into like what, you've been loving specifically is, now that as you've been getting acquainted, are there any things that Paige and I can point you in the direction of, any recommendations we can provide for you outside of like the scope of what you've seen from the Richmond experience in general?
Yeah, I mean, definitely more activities. I just learned about the hot tomato summer like the last 2 days of it, and I was
Okay.
so sad. I was like, oh my gosh, of course it's like about to end, like right when I find out about it. But I love things like that. I heard about the watermelon festival last weekend, which I missed. But
Yes.
yeah,
I mean, that's like a great thing though about Richmond. We kind of
We have
touched
lots
on
of
this in like our
festivals.
first few episodes where like one of our favorite things is like it's like an ever like going festival city, I feel like.
yeah.
There like folk festival is coming up in the fall. There are
September.
so many like huge fall ones coming up too. And then they get like Richmond in general gets very into the spirit of like the holidays also. So
We go hard.
yeah. So like the hot tomato summer is, you'll catch it next summer. It's obviously fantastic, but there are more things where it's like it's constantly like moving and rotating. So like you might have missed one part. There are more things like on the horizon soon. Folk festival, wouldn't you say, Paige, is like
Yeah, I would definitely recommend the folk festival. That's in September. I just added it to our calendar.
Mhm.
And then coming up, there's also like the pumpkin festival. We do
Yes.
that one. Pride Fest is coming up in September, which is always really fun. And then, yeah, like Kelsey said, we go hard for the holidays. Like every single bar turns into like some holiday pop-up bar. There's the tacky lights. You're going to be obsessed with how Richmond decorates for the holidays and all
Oh my
the
gosh.
tacky light tours. It's like the best time to be
Oh,
here.
yeah, I'm so excited. That sounds so fun. I
Yeah.
love it when like cities do that. Okay, I can't
I
wait.
know. And I've been wondering too, because I don't know if that's just something that has sort of like grown just with how social media has grown and everything like that. But it's like, or maybe it is a Richmond specific thing because every year it seems like more and more like restaurants and bars are getting like into the pop up. Like we're making this, we're overhauling the whole thing and it's just going to be Christmas like on max capacity. But
Mhm.
it's so fun. I don't know if that's specific to our city, but I'm glad we're here to enjoy it.
It does feel a little specific, but I guess I also don't know. Like my hometown did it definitely a good amount, but not as much as Richmond. Like
Yeah. Well, then
everybody
you'll
is,
enjoy.
yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Okay. So then we can start there with your with those recommendations. And then as we get going into the conversation, like ahead, maybe there are more that we can like fill your ear with
Well,
too.
I did see you went to your first Virginia winery, so we got to talk wine.
Oh, true.
Yes, we have to. I love wine so much. I'm like, maybe I should, like admit how much I love wine to like the whole
You
world.
have to be worried here, Susie. We are with the wine aficionado page.
Yeah. I had never been to a winery before, and I like heard that Virginia had so many. So I just decided to do a little like one night trip. Beautiful. It was so beautiful.
And you went to Marymill?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, Virginia has over 300 wineries. In Charlottesville area, like the Monticello AVA just won Wine Enthusiast Best Wine Region of the Year. So it's very up and coming Virginia wine. Back when I first moved here, that's when I fell in love with wine because I went to my first Virginia winery. And then like I went down a rabbit hole as like I'm wine certified and everything. But that's when I fell in love. So yeah, I will give you like a ton of recommendations of the best wineries to go to, and that will keep you full because October is Virginia Wine Month, and so that's the most beautiful time to visit wineries because the leaves, it's beautiful. So you got to add that to your calendar as well.
Okay. Yes. Good to know. I was actually thinking that when I was out there, I was like, this in the fall is probably the most insane view.
Oh my gosh. Beautiful. Like you would never want to leave. They're so gorgeous, especially when you get into that part of fall around here where it's like the weather is literally perfect. I could sit out at any of those wineries all day. It's like the best. You know, I know we were talking about the folk festival, but if you have just gotten started on wineries, Susie, maybe folk festival next year, you got to get into these wineries.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm gonna have to, honestly.
Marymill though is a super like cute and unique one. I actually hadn't been there myself yet until this year too with a girlfriend. So like I feel like I don't know what your professional opinion is, Paige, of that one in the, you know, whole context of wineries in general, but it's a very cute, like it's a good one to start with because there's a lot to look at. There's a lot to see. And they have very good offerings from what I could glean when I was over there.
Their winemaker is Emily from Veritas. So it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, okay. There you go.
And I mean, the owners there do a fantastic job with their decor. It's amazing. It's like
very
a museum in there.
Photogenic, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
It is gorgeous.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Well, then I feel like we've started you off on a good note, Susie, and we'll just try to keep that going through the rest of this episode then.
Yeah.
Before we end though, up at the top here, I just want to make sure I could shout out all of your like social media handles and everything so that people can go follow you, see what you're doing on your side of things. Instagram is at Susie Vidal. TikTok is Susie.Vidal. I have to also clarify too, like Paige, you're more on the TikTok end of things. When you tell somebody the TikTok account, it's just Susie.Vidal. Do I need an @? Do people need to know?
I'm not the girl to ask with that one.
Susie, do you know?
Also, I'm like, I guess I've never really thought about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
It's Susie.Vidal. And then like if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to the Richmond Experience. We'll point you in the right direction. And then for YouTube, Susie, you make a lot of, I feel like longer form content for your YouTube page, and you can be found at Susie Vidal there as well. Because I don't know if we've mentioned yet too, Susie, your sort of like entry into the content that you provide now is kind of like cooking like based, right? Would you say that's accurate?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that in the beginning, but I do a lot of cooking on my social media. I started cooking during school, so it's not something I grew up doing.
Right.
But I just love making videos. I like making people smile. I like making entertaining content. So I kind of found that like little niche and I went with it.
Yeah. So, and then it's just kind of gone up from there. It seems like I have been like saving so many of the recent ones that you've been posted to. Your cold brew one, very like simple and to the point, very informative though. I appreciated it for personal reasons.
Thank you. Yeah, I used to work at a coffee shop for 5 years. So I'm kind of a coffee snob. I love coffee so much. I just really appreciate it, which I think is what made me appreciate food and then also wine and like cocktails and just like craft like food in general. So yeah, I made like a little cold brew recipe. You guys should try it out. It's really good.
It looked like the way to go. I'm excited to try it out. I had tried to do that myself like years ago, maybe in COVID times when everybody was trying all kinds of different things. And I don't think it worked out as well as yours seemed to. So I might need to revisit my approach.
Yeah, I got you. I'll help you out.
Yeah. I'll send you. We'll talk separately from this. Okay, perfect. Well, then I feel like get into the meat. Shall we, Paige?
Yeah, so what to eat, drink, see, and do in RVA this week. And we are going to ask Susie what all of her recommendations are and just kind of bounce back and forth. So, Susie, up first for eat, what have you been loving recently?
I recently went to Blue Atlas. I don't know if you guys have been there, but it was probably one of my favorite restaurants I've been to so far in Richmond. And I again, like I haven't been to many, so there's definitely more things I need to try and I would love to hear your guys' recommendations, but my boyfriend and I got the Georgian cheese bread and it
Hmm.
was crazy. We like sat there and we were like, we want this every single day. Like I don't even know how we can survive without this. It was so delicious. So good.
Yeah, I feel like that's a general like summary of everything that they offer over there, where it's like
Yeah.
every plate that you order is like, oh, that was better than the last one I even had. It's been my experience at least.
Right.
Yeah.
And
The
I know
last
Paige too, you had like gone there you've been there a couple of times for like New Year's Eve celebrations.
Yeah, I've usually gone for New Year's Eve. What they do is since they focus on dishes from around the world, on New Year's Eve, they do a bunch of dishes with New Year's traditions from around the world. So they offer like small plates. So my girlfriend and I went there for New Year's and we had a lovely dinner. So, and they have a gorgeous view,
Right. It's
Churchill.
so pretty over
Yeah,
there.
it is
Yeah, we
pretty.
sat outside and it was so gorgeous. It was
Yeah.
crazy. I was like, wow.
It does have a very nice indoor outdoor like setup over there. And every time I've seen when we like get closer to New Year's Eve and we're trying to like point people in the right direction of like things that they should do, they always do have a very, it seems like lovely like thing to offer for New Year's Eve. And I sort of love that theme of like, little bites from around the world. I just
Hmm.
something about that I just feel like is a nice way to kick off into the new year. It seems very romantic in some way. I love that about them. And for people who don't know too, Blue Atlas, their building itself, it used to be like a bona fide schoolhouse. So they're kind of like their whole MO over there is to like introduce diners to different cultures, as we've talked about. And they're, as they put it on their website, they want you to join us in our classroom where we can share stories and learn more about the traditions, history, and cultures of our world, which I feel like kind of like speaks to sort of like a lot of things in Richmond. A lot of stuff has like a historical foundation, and then these different businesses have like played off of it in their own way. And it's just a very, I feel like, specific thing to Richmond, but then also like a really unique thing to that place too. Like it's cool that it's built out of a schoolhouse and they're kind of like trying to tie it into what they offer too. It's
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah,
That's a great
so cool.
recommendation. For more information, people can find stuff at blueatlasrva.com and at blueatlasrva on Instagram. But stellar start. I feel like people go over there and eat that bread immediately and then see what else is on the menu.
Yeah, wow, that's so interesting. I actually did not know that at all. But when we were driving, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's like in the middle of it's like what am I trying to think? What am I trying
It's like
neighborhood.
really backed away. It definitely is like sort of tucked away. That's kind of what my experience was when I was driving up to it. And I knew I knew before going there the first time that I knew this whole like schoolhouse background. And then if you know that like going into it, it's like, oh yeah, this definitely was like a school.
Right. No, that's so cool to know because, like, yeah, my Ryan and I were sitting there talking. We were like, "Where is this place?" It's in the middle of a neighborhood, but now that I know it was like a school, it makes so much sense. That's
Atlas does have Wine Wednesdays every Wednesday from 5 to 7, and they have free tastings and deals on bottles. So,
Fantastic. Always good to know. Yet another place to go if you want like a little happy hour feel too with a great setting. I mean, there are
yeah,
countless spots for that in Richmond, but here's your recommendation for this week. Fantastic.
love.
Okay. Well then, okay, we're squared away then for eat. So
Yeah.
what are you thinking as far as drinks go, Susie? What have you been into since you've been in Richmond or recently?
Yeah, definitely. I love going to Second Bottle, which I know we can like get more into in a second, and then
We
also
have to,
Emerald Lab.
Susie. We
We
have
have
to.
to. Yeah, I also have a story about Second Bottle. It's just like the cutest little shop. I am obsessed with it. The little like tinned fish and stuff, and then also Emerald Lounge. I love that place. When I saw the what was it, the mermaid skeleton, I was
mhm,
like, oh, this is so cool. Like I was like, this is home now.
yeah.
Mhm.
I'm gonna live here. So
Mhm.
that's a great place.
Oh my gosh, fantastic, Rex! And I also saw in your notes too. You talked to have you been over to? Oh, you haven't been to Fanboy, but you had that on your radar.
Yeah, my friends were telling me about it. What was it, like last week or the week before? They're like, you have to go to Fanboy if
You
you like
do.
cocktails, but I just haven't made my way out there yet. So
Yeah.
That's definitely another good one. And I know Paige, you were gonna speak to because we've been to Fanboy once or twice. Once as a team for sure. Maybe you've been over there a couple more times too, Paige. But you
Yeah,
have some
I've
recommendations.
been several times.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
I love
Paige,
it.
like maybe even five at this point.
Yeah, it's the OnlyFans martini with the Prosecco cold foam on top. It's like to die for. And then I also love the patio crusher there. And then their food is actually really, really good as well. They do a lot of small plates there, but yeah, obsessed.
The
You need to
blistered
go. The vibe.
Shishitos. Yeah, yeah. It's such a like nice, and it's I think it's like part I think they when they first put it on the scene, it was like it's gonna be kind of like a part listening room sort of thing. So they have a whole
They
like
have DJs.
record like
Yeah.
corner, which is very cool for like setting the tone. But when we've been over there as a team, at least the blistered Shishitos over there are a great starter. So once you get over there and decide what you want to drink, order those as like your appetizer before you get whatever else you get. Like I don't think you could go wrong.
Okay, yeah, those are great Rex. I love shishito peppers, so
Oh my
that's gonna be
gosh.
so good. And then the OnlyFans martini is definitely what my friends told me to get, especially because I do this thing on social media. It's like a little spin-off of OnlyFans called OnlyPans. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
we've seen. For
It's
sure.
so
So then
fun.
this is like immediate. You need to get over there just for
No,
the sake of the culture in your own hemisphere.
right, exactly. I was like, how have I not had this OnlyFans martini? It is so on brand for me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's so
Yeah.
you. No, it's super delicious. That all their drink options have been delicious when we've gone. Their apps are delicious. Emerald Lounge though too. I almost feel like Fanboy and Emerald Lounge are the same in this way, in that I kind of find them to be very good, like bookend places to go for like a date night or like out with your girlfriend or something, where it's like you could start or end here with like drinks and appetizers, and you could stay and get like a full meal if you wanted to, but it's like kind of like a nice bookend to like start or end your evening, go out for dinner, and then if you wanted like a nightcap or something, head over to either of those places. They have two very different like vibes, but they both offer such like amazing, like everything is great there, so you really can't go wrong.
Yeah. No, that's
Fantastic.
like my favorite thing to do. I'm always
Okay.
like, okay, let's end the night at Emerald.
Exactly. I want like a little chaser of something. Let's go like get a drink at this place. It's so fun. I feel, and Emerald Lounge, speaking of like Christmas, like stuff earlier, Emerald Lounge is another one that does like a really great pop up too. So just keep that in mind for the holiday season. They've got a good one also. But let's get
Sipping
back to the
Santa.
real business. Second bottle. What do you have to tell us about Second Bottle?
Oh, so I saw in the notes that you like talked to Erin a good amount. And the first time I went there, she was wearing a Cornell shirt because she played like softball there. So we were just like bonding over that. I didn't go to Cornell, but my boyfriend did.
Okay.
So he played soccer there. So it was just like so cute and it was just like such good energy. Oh, my dog, guys, I'm so sorry.
She's saying hello. She loves Second Bottle too.
So much energy always at 10 a.m. And I was like, this is going to be the worst time.
No, she's just chiming in.
Yeah, but Erin is she's just so sweet. And the fact that she like writes all of her own notes on every single wine and she gives the best recommendations every time. We just ask her what we want to drink and she just tells us.
That's been my experience every single time I've been over there.
Yeah.
I used to live over in Churchill, and that shop very much is in Churchill. You could walk right to it from anywhere in Churchill, I feel like. And she takes such care to like spell everything out literally for all of her bottles and stuff. And I have likened it to like walking around a bookstore for me, where it's like just as enjoyable just to walk around and read all of like her notes on everything, because it's very informative, but she's witty and like fun with it too. So it's just super enjoyable from that point of view. And then if you go in there with no idea what you're looking for, she'll point you easily in like 5 different directions and give you a taste of everything. And then they, of course, too, have Thursday tastings pretty regularly. They kind of take breaks, but I have been sort of speaking with Erin in recent weeks and have it on, I feel like, good authority that those are coming back very soon. So take this as your reminder to get over there, our listeners, because those will be back in the fall. That's like such a nice little perk of that place too. You walk over there, you can shop, but then like on Thursdays, you can make that a pre-dinner thing too. Do a little wine tasting, get a bottle for later, and go to dinner or something.
Yeah, that's so. I know this one time I walked in there in my pajamas. I was like, I'm just gonna get a quick bottle and like leave. And then there was this huge wine tasting, and everybody was looking at me, and I was like, well, this is really embarrassing.
Yeah, it's very cozy, and it's also like such a nice little shop too. So it can't full fast. So like if you just got to find somebody to help you point you to the right bottle, and then you're in good shape. It's fine.
Right. Yeah, in and out super fast. But
I feel like if fantastic recommendations all around. If people want to know more about tastings and stuff, though, specifically to Second Bottle, you can go to secondbottlewine.com or follow them at Second Bottle on Instagram. And then, of course, Emerald Lounge and Fanboy. I didn't pull up their websites and Instas for this because I felt we were focusing on Second Bottle, but they're easy to find. People will find them. I'll put them in the show notes.
All right, and then I do want to mention, if you do need more wine recs, I highly recommend Jardin for wine and snacks. So this spot is an approachable and intimate wine bar in the Fan, and it's from the same folks behind the Churchill restaurant Grisette. So if you haven't been to Grisette or Jardin, I would highly recommend those two spots.
There you go, Susie. And we were talking too about like wineries, which are obviously wonderful, but that's like a nice thing that I feel like you'll find throughout Richmond, where it's like not full-fledged wineries, but so many like bottle shops where you can
Yeah,
sit
we
and
do have
enjoy
a
a
lot
drink.
of wine bars now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
wine bars are awesome. I haven't been to either one of those, but I've been told a million times to go check it out, so I want to. All of my friends like go to Grisette to just get like a little drink. They said the
Yeah.
drinks are really good. Yeah.
And just enjoy. Yeah. And just kind of like start your evening, start your Thursday or Friday or whatever, and then figure out plans from there. It's the best. Okay, well then, I talked at the top, either before or once we started recording, that I'm going to get carried away with a million tangents. So I'm going to just keep us moving into C. Susie, what have you loved seeing so far since you've been in Richmond?
Okay, so I have been loving going. I've been walking my dog a lot, like around the parks. So we went to James River, and then recently we went to Belle Isle to the Dry Rocks, I think it's
Yes.
called.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was just so beautiful. I mean, I've never seen anything like that, to be honest.
No, it's super gorgeous. I saw that you had written this in your notes, Paige and I, like, to prepare for this, we were like, let's see what Susie's going to put down. Let's put in our own notes. And like, you're obviously knocking it out of the park with all these, but this specific one, I feel like Paige and I talk all the time about all these little like things that I feel like are specific to Richmond that like, obviously everybody knows about the dry rocks over at Belle Isle, but then when you get over there, you're like, this feels like hidden gem though quality, because it's like, why isn't literally everyone stopping everything they're doing to talk about this?
Right. I agree.
It's
I
so
was
beautiful
there,
over there.
and there was like no one around too, which I also thought was shocking. I was like, wow, I just have this to myself right now. Okay, it was raining a little bit for like a moment, so maybe that's why, but it was
That'll give
still
you an
so
edge.
yeah.
Oh my God, it's the best. I love going over there, but I do feel like that's kind of been my experience anytime I've gone over there too. It's like, I don't feel like it gets like overly crowded. I feel like you can kind of like make space for yourself wherever, because there is kind of, depending on where you go, so much room to spread out. So like, I feel like that makes sense. That's been my experience every time. And the views are just like unbeatable. I don't know if you caught from wherever you might have been over there. You can also see like kind of get a glimpse of Hollywood Cemetery, which is another thing that you should check out if you haven't already. Stunning views over there, just sort of a beautiful landmark in Richmond as well. And then of course you can see like parts of like downtown and stuff from wherever you're standing as well. And then the river's right in front of you. I mean, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? I actually have been to Hollywood Cemetery because my cousin was visiting, and she's one of those people that like looks up places before she goes. And when she came, she's like, "We're going here, 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 here," and I was like, "I haven't even heard of these places." But
Yeah,
let's do it.
you're like, take me away. I need
Yeah.
to, brush up on some of my stuff too. Hollywood Cemetery is a great one. Paige, weren't
Yeah.
we just talking recently, because you had family in town, and maybe not for this last visit, but for a visit when you've had family in town, that's a good place to like take visitors to, I think.
Yeah, my family always recommends we go there, but it is like a really beautiful cemetery, beautiful spot. They do have a walking trail there, so you might have noticed that the blue lines all around, that is a walking tour that they it's just self-guided, so you can either pull up the PDF online or you can buy one for $1 inside their entryway, but you can just see all the like notable people that have been buried there.
Yeah.
And then some other hikes that I love to do. I love connecting the North Bank Trail with the Buttermilk Trail, and that makes a 6.5-mile loop. But my girlfriend and I do that a couple times this summer or in the fall, and it's really nice. But we are really lucky with the trail system in Richmond. There are like countless trails that you can hop on, especially with your dog. And
Oh yeah.
I just love the outdoor scene here.
Yeah, I feel like it's a very dog. I wonder if you have found this too, Susie. It does seem to me to be a very dog friendly like city. When I was out in San Diego, I felt that city is for sure very dog friendly, but I don't feel like there's been much change since I moved to Richmond. I feel like it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, I agree. Very dog friendly. Like every place I go, I see, even just outside, like basically any restaurant that has like an outside patio is
Yeah.
usually dog friendly. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah. And you said your dog's name is Stella?
Yeah, her name's Stella.
I
She's
was going to say,
so
Stella's
like,
overhearing this and being like, ladies, wrap it up. Let me get back out here on these trails and stuff. Fantastic. Well, now, Stella,
yeah,
you've got all these wonderful recommendations from us. Your
I
your
know.
your week is about to be looking up, lady. That's
No,
perfect.
we're
Okay.
gonna definitely go on the North Bank Trail. like
Yeah.
this weekend. That sounds so fun.
So many like good trails, so many good
Yeah.
like walking, like there's just so many good outdoorsy options around here. Like I feel like you could find one for every day, every season too. Like it's the best. Well, fantastic. Let's finish us out for due, Susie. What are we doing for due?
Yeah, so I recently got into running, which is something that I never did before ever. Like I couldn't even run half a mile probably without stopping. But my friends and I have been going to Effect Run Club, which has been really fun. And then one of my other friends got me to start going to the November Project RBA at the BMFA, and that's crazy because we have to be there at 6 a.m. And I
Yeah,
like
like early morning.
yeah, I'm not an early morning
Yeah.
at all.
I
And I'm
relate
like,
to you
I'm
that
only
way.
doing this for you, girl. But I've been doing those two things and it's just been so fun. It's like so nice to get outside, meet like-minded people, have like a sense of community. It's been great.
Yeah, for sure. Those things, when we were talking about that at the top, that's a great way, I feel like, to get out and meet more people, because they're usually like bigger events, but everybody kind of has like a similar goal in mind of like just trying to get up, start my day like on the right foot and everything like that. So I feel like that's a great place to start. I'm with you though, where I would have a hard time waking up early for anything. That's not usually my go-to. I'm exercising later in the day, in the evening, once I'm like been awake for hours on end. So I applaud you for sure.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see how long I can do it for, but it's definitely been fun for the past couple months.
Yeah, you've done it so far. And
Yeah.
Paige, as far as like running, Paige is our like Boho Studios unofficial spokesperson, I feel like, because we of course work with them on an official capacity, but you're a big fangirl anyway, Paige.
Yeah, I love boho. I mean, I used to be a runner. I ran a marathon,
Oh
but
yeah, I always forget that, Paige.
You ran a
yeah,
marathon?
I
Oh my
have.
gosh.
I ran a marathon in like 4 halves. And
Yeah.
I was a high school runner. Like I ran cross country from middle school and all through high school. But then I ran that marathon and I haven't ran since.
You know what? And you were like, that's enough for me.
Done. I'm good.
I've seen what I need to see. Like that's fine. I
Yeah.
can understand that. I've never done a marathon or anything like that, but even just like running in general, I'm kind of like, you know what? This is getting old really fast for me personally.
It's cool though. Like if I ran, I would totally join like a run club. We have countless run clubs. Vossen has one, Star Hill has one. We have the Effect Run Club now. So there are like plenty of different run groups that you can join. So yeah, I think that would be awesome for the community aspect, but you're going to catch me at like a group fitness class.
Yeah, like indoors, like with a machine and all and everything, for sure.
AC.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like I've never done marathons, anything like that. I have in my past gotten into running in various stages of my life. I'm not really doing that kind of thing right now, but we do have like a lot of run clubs like you've mentioned, and then the Star Hill one was one that I was gonna note too, because there's this track Star Run Club. They meet up I had it in my notes, every Tuesdays at 6:30, and then everybody comes back for happy hour where you get like $1 off your pints and stuff. So that's kind of like a fun way too, if you are into like the brewery scene. Also, you can go get your run, go meet other people, and then you can come back and have a drink and kind of like chat a little bit more. Like the workout is done, but you can hang out. So I feel like that's like a really good opportunity for like a mixed, a variation of meeting new people. And then like, of course, there's sports backers in our area, which is always hosting like such great races throughout the city. One I'm sure you've heard of. And did you participate in like Monument Avenue 10K, watch it or anything this last year since you came in March? I don't know if you would have.
No, I haven't. I've only done the Effect Run Club, but I'm actually going to look into the Track Star one because that sounds really fun.
Yeah, that's what I always hear about when we're going through like different events to recommend people. That's always one that's on our calendar, especially. And then Star Hill is another partner of ours that we work with regularly, and we've talked about different things that they're doing with the Run Club before. That's definitely a good one to look into. And then if you're into like getting races now on your calendar, Sports Backers always has good stuff, and of course their Monument Avenue 10K is like their big one in the spring. So you could like look forward to that next year. But it's all, I mean, there's so many like, resources for that kind of thing in the city too.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so good to know. Paige, it's crazy that you ran a marathon. My friends are currently training for it, and I've been debating like, should I try to run a half marathon? But I just was able to run like a mile without stopping like a month ago.
It's all, I always tell people it's all mental.
Right.
It's 100% mental. I mean, yes, you need to be like physically able to do it, but it's definitely a mental game. I suggest everybody do it because it definitely made me stronger
Yeah,
mentally. Like I can do anything. So
100%.
yeah,
I love that.
I would just start with I would start like with a 5K, then a 10K, then a half, and then just do the damn thing.
Oh my gosh,
I love that.
Susie, we will be
Okay.
your personal cheering section too. We can arrange that after
Yeah.
this call also.
I know, I actually love this. Maybe I will start doing some races. I've never really thought about it. I've just been working out like to be with my friends and for fun, but you're kind of motivating me, especially if you're going to be there cheering me on the
Yeah,
side.
we'll bring signs. We can come up with some witty stuff. That's always our favorite part of the Monument Avenue 10K, like reading what
Like,
everybody like came up with to like for their signs. But I was
yeah.
gonna say that's kind of like when I've been in like heavier running periods of my life. That's sort of what I've done, where it's like let me like just I'll register for a 5K, so it's like it's on my calendar and I have something that I'm like actually working toward, and it's great motivation. So you can
Yeah.
do it, Susie. I believe in you.
Okay, fine. You guys convinced me.
Okay. All right. We're rooting for you starting now. But if people want any more information on any of those clubs that we've talked about, you can go to starhill.com. You can of course follow Starhill on Instagram. Then there's also at Effect Run Club on Instagram and at November Project RBA on Instagram too. But I keep saying we're gonna chat your ear off, Susie, if we don't cut this to a close. So I feel like that was a great bit of information. We're probably going to ask you more questions after we get off, but we're going to wrap up for our listeners here.
All right, so thanks for listening, Richmond. And by the way, there's more where that came from. Joining the Richmond experience as a member is the best way to stay in the know about what's going on in RVA.
Not to worry, we refuse to sell your info or bombard you with ads, but we do charge a small annual membership fee of $39 a year to fund our team so we can keep doing this awesome work. Plus, a portion of each annual membership purchased for the Richmond experience goes to rotating nonprofits each month. That's like $1 per week to get an all-access pass to the best of RVA and lift up local orgs. It's a really, really good deal, friends. And listen, what are friends for anyway? Use code CHATTER to get $10 off your first year subscription.
Give us a follow on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at The Richmond Experience, and on Instagram at The Chatter and RVA too. And if you enjoyed this episode, send it to your buds and rate, review, and subscribe.
And if you want to keep up with each of us, you can find me at Kelsey Hines is Typing on Instagram.
And me, Sips and Trips with Paige on Instagram.
Thank you so much, Susie, and we'll chat with you next week, RVA.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. I'll see you guys around town.
Yes.